benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
You've got used to one segment of Good Takes in the morning, but now there's a full show of Good Takes at night. Welcome into Raff's Good Take on Sports on 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome in to Raff's Good Take on Sports. It is not all in. Let me correct the overlay there. You guys are always welcome to join in. 402-464-5685. There are plenty of things to talk about tonight. And I know there's a pressing matter, Raff, and the fan base is going to throw a riot if we do not get to it right now. That has to deal with the quarterback room at Nebraska. We had a guy And before you know it, we don't have a guy, or potentially don't have a guy anymore. That would be the Notre Dame transfer. Minchie was supposed to come here tomorrow. Sounds like it was a done deal. Things flip, and all of a sudden, an agent is maybe got a blank check from Kentucky. Now he's predicted to go to Kentucky. Your thoughts on the quarterback transfer? Had him, and now he's gone before we even get to the end of the night.
Well, I am glad that you changed the overlay there, because not everybody is all in tonight.
On the basketball side of things, we are. Maybe not the football.
Tonight is just your typical mixed bag of Nebraska sports, the way it's kind of been going. You know, all the rest of the sports are taking steps forward, and then Nebraska the football team kind of gets a little bit of egg in its face, I guess you would say, tonight. I mean, this is the first for me. I've never seen somebody where they said it was going through the portal, and then 2 seconds later they're transferring out of the portal, transferring again from the portal. I mean, it was wild. But I'm also very happy that I did not go out and get those 10,000 Minchie Mania shirts printed out, because I figured I would kind of go off the Gardner Minshew, the Minshew Mania. But yeah, it's wild to me that this happened. But now it's like, if you're Nebraska, you know, you've got to have your plan B. Like I always say, like in college, you know, staffs, offices that I've sat in prior when recruiting, you know, or I mean, I guess the portal is kind of like recruiting. You have your list of quarterbacks. Well, now, you know, that list is kind of, you've had, you know, Sorsby go to Texas Tech. By the way, nice billboard in New York City that Texas Tech got for him. And you have your other quarterbacks that have committed elsewhere. So I'm going to say this, and I know Nebraska fans are going to punch me and slap me and say all this, but you still have Dylan Raiola's phone number. I just, right now, it's like, I don't see, are you going to grade up at quarterback than what you have with Dylan Raiola? I know people are going to be like, but think about it this way. The USC game, he was about to become a Nebraska legend if they would have let him go on and play with that broken leg, which he was attempting to do. And I'm looking at from a team perspective. I just think your best option and your best chance at winning would be with Dylan Raiola at quarterback. I'm not sure who else is left out there where you can grade up at quarterback. So I think if you're Nebraska, I think you definitely, and Dylan, he hasn't, you know, I haven't seen him, you know, commit anywhere or have any schools that have, you know, usually where there's smoke, there's fire, and you like hear something like Dylan's talking to so-and-so school, but you really haven't heard much. So I don't know. I after tonight, I just think that it might be something to where they might, you know, give him a chance and, you know, give him a call and see if they could work something out. I know Nebraska fans will be like, oh, he left, but it's at the same time, it's like, where's Nebraska going from here? I'm going to be honest with people. I wasn't completely sold on Kenny Minchie being the starting quarterback at Nebraska. I mean, he was the backup at Notre Dame. There's a reason why he was the backup. You know, there was somebody better there, and people are going to go, oh, he was a dual threat and he came out of high school and he did this and he did that. But it's like, my thought process was, well, if he was all that, you know, shouldn't he have been the starter at Notre Dame? That's just me. I guess I'm under the perspective too that I'm still I think I'm kind of somewhat in the minority a little bit when it comes to Nebraska football, because I guess
I'm looking at the comments here, Raff. Yeah, they dislike that. I'm getting Dylan Raiola back, but
it's like, but where the people in the comments, who are we going to go to instead? That's my comment is there somebody out there better than Dylan Raiola? I mean, I want the best quarterback that you can get at the position right now, being the way that Minchie's kind of left it high and dry. And like I said, I don't know if Minchie was going to be the answer at quarterback for Nebraska or not. I mean, the guy, you know, hasn't played a ton of football. You know, this past year he threw 26 passes, and I was scratching my head. I'm just like, he could come in and I mean, who is that one? Who is that super quarterback from a few years back that we recruited? That
Sims,
looked,
or did he actually get to Nebraska?
Jeff Sims looked really good on paper. It came in here and kind of fizzled out.
Thompson
And then
is the one that upsets me. That's the one I don't understand. If it's true that we supposedly, told him like your best chances are to go somewhere else, that's the one I don't understand. Is the Casey Thompson situation. But the Jeff Sims was a disaster, and he was a supposed dual threat. I think just because, TJ Latif, he didn't give you enough to feel confident. So you're gonna have to go in the room and get somebody else to at least make it a competition. I don't know. I mean, this is the problem with college football. This happens a lot. I mean, it happened to us as of late, but Nico Imaleva with Tennessee, he pulled that stunt late minute, like right before the season started, and went to Tennessee. Dylan Raiola, speaking of the guy, he flipped his commitment multiple times before landing somewhere. This one just feels rough because it was such a quick time span before we had him. And then, again, I'm just assuming Kentucky, not a blank check, but a bigger check, said, hey, how about you check out this place? I don't know. I don't even know who you blame on this one. Do you blame Matt Rule for not identifying where his guy was going to land? Because that can happen to just anybody now.
Well, I think I don't blame Matt Rule. I mean, I guess Matt Rule might take some, kickback this next year if he has an amazing year at Kentucky and becomes a Heisman Trophy candidate. But like, if you're Matt Rule, you've got to draw the line somewhere. I mean, the guy wasn't, okay, what do we got? Lagway committed. He was going elsewhere. Yeah. And then
Childs doesn't really inspire me. I like the Michigan State backup more than I like Childs.
Yeah, but would you take? I'd take Dylan Raiola over the three of those.
I don't think he's gonna come back.
I know it. I'm guessing he won't, but I'm saying is I'm looking at those three quarterbacks that he listed there. I'd take Dylan Raiola over the three of them. I mean, it's like people. I don't know what the hate for Dylan Raiola is. I don't understand it. I mean, what did he do? To inflict, all we heard before he got injured was, we want to see TJ Latif. We want to see TJ Latif. Well, we kind of felt, how that felt, and now the talk is, well, we got to find somebody else. It's just, I don't know. But then again,
solution. I don't want to pay a ton for a quarterback anymore, because until we fix some of the trenches, like, it just doesn't matter who we have at this point unless you can figure out those trenches. I'm okay with getting a lesser quarterback and putting a lot more money into other position groups, and it can be a very game management quarterback. Like Luke Altmaier I don't believe, demanding a ton of respect, but he worked out perfectly for Illinois because he could be a little bit of a dual threat. I think he could be great, but go ahead.
What is Nebraska trying for? That's where I guess I'm in the different boat. No, I mean, what do all these quarterbacks in the Final Four, Trinidad, playing amazing football. Miami, I guess, Carson Beck, somewhat of a game manager, but he's got his history playing in the big games. You got Moore. And you got Fernando Mendoza. All these four teams have great quarterbacks. It's like, but I guess I'm getting lost in where I get lost in translation with Nebraska is I've come to the conclusion now is we really don't want to be a great. I mean, we want to be a great football team, but are we really trying to be a great football team? I mean, usually all we get now is, well, we did better than Scott Frost's staff, so we're doing good. We made it to a bowl game. It's like. I'm scratching my head. I'm still trying to figure out, the post-game press conference, it's like, what are we trying for here? Are we trying to be great, or are we just trying to be better than Scott Frost's staff? I went back and I watched the Big Ten Media Day. I don't know why, but I went back and watched Big Ten Media Day today. And I thought going into this season on the mic, Coach Rule said that everything was good. They'd fixed everything from the prior staff. They came in, but they were good to go this year. They were good to go. And then the same excuse harkened up at the end of the bowl game. So I was like, so where was the lost in translation part of it? Because if you're going to continually, match yourself up against Scott Frost, I mean, yes, the tenure here was pretty epically bad, but then I'm saying to myself, is that what you're always going to match bad up to? I mean, I just feel, to me, I feel like there needs to be a little proof in the pudding, with Coach Rule, the staff, and the team. I mean, after 3 years, we really don't know, what is our offense after 3 years? We don't have a quarterback. We're not really sure where we're sitting, in a lot of other positions. Defense, I mean, it might be, we're tweaking stuff, but it's a reset on defense. They're switching defenses next year. You're going to see, a different front. It's like there's a lot of stuff after 3 years. I have a lot of questions where I'm just like, where are we going? A lot of the times I feel like, sometimes you're just throwing stuff off the wall and hoping that something sticks. And it's like, sooner or later, you're going to have to set into something. What is Nebraska? What is Nebraska offensively? What are we defensively? It frustrates me a ton, because after 3 years, I didn't think we'd be in this position.
Yeah. I mean, DP says it all the time, and it's absolutely true. You can judge the state of the program by how many questions you have on it. This is a bad offseason, because this offseason I got nothing but questions. Like, I don't know what we're doing. I couldn't tell you. We just did the Husk Hoops postgame show. I can tell you why Nebraska wins. I can tell you the times when they lose, because there is a set identity for what they're trying to do game in, game out. Someone, there's a lot of emotion on the text line and on YouTube. I don't care. You guys can vent as much as you want. Tell me what Nebraska's identity is, or what should be the identity. I don't know if you want to go spend a bunch of money and get a quarterback with an offensive line that you don't trust, that can even protect him. Maybe it's you need a mobile quarterback. Well, that was supposed to be TJ Lateef. Nothing against him, but 3 biggest blowouts of the year. Yes, good Penn State team. Yes, a good Iowa team. And yes, a very good Utah team. So do you want to give him a little break for that? That's up to you, but that's the most atrocious we've looked all year. I'm just trying to find a direction on the compass that says this is what we're trying to do. I couldn't tell you at all what the direction is. I'm lost. I feel like I'm in the wilderness with this team.
Well, that's like with TJ Lateef. It's like, okay, if we're going to go with a running quarterback, I never really thought when he came to Nebraska that was his forte. He had the ability to run, but to leaning into the run is kind of looking at what Dampier was at Utah. That's leaning into the quarterback running. That's, and able to make plays, exceptionally talented, making plays with his feet. TJ Lateef, he's fast. I get that, but I just don't think that's his entire game. Like, we're not going to go, with read options and stuff like that. I mean, every once in a while I get that, but it's like, if Nebraska's going to lean back into, a mobile quarterback, and like I always say too, finding a quarterback that's super mobile and can throw the ball crazy good, they're few and far between that you have, and if that's what Nebraska is going to do, so be it. But then with Kenny Minchie, I know they were saying dual threat quarterback, but I went back and looked at his high school statistics. I don't think running the ball was his forte. He
could scamper for 10 yards every now and then when you needed it. And if it was really open, if it was man coverage and the guys, weren't paying attention, he could at least identify it and go get some yards. But he wasn't a burner, but certainly more athletic than what Dylan Raiola was. And then we got another one off of YouTube. I know Lou's saying Dylan was the QB at Minnesota. Yeah, we got blown on at that one. Pick any quarterback in that Minnesota game. I don't feel great. I think we lost the battle in other places that wasn't the QB spot. Yeah. That's where I get worried. Like, we keep talking about the QB.
But what did we always say with Dylan? If we got him an offensive line, there was something there. I mean,
because the wide receivers get open. I mean, that's the other part that was kind of strange. It felt like we had some good receivers and they weren't always getting open. I feel rough about this offseason so far, Raff. I hope I'm just dead wrong. But.
And I just don't really know, what direction the offense is going. At least with the defense, I see where they're going, because, Coach Ulrich is coming in, and, they got the linebacker today that's in his system. That's key, and they had, the way it was shaping, it looked like they're going to, a 4-man front, and Keona leaving, that kind of hurt, because you wanted to, Edger, was it Keona on one side and Nawarni on the other, but but I see what they're doing on defense. I see that the direction they're taking. Now it's just a matter of implementing it and, following through and being that tenacious defense. But offense, I have no clue. And right now I think it all kind of hinges on who the quarterback is going to be, because I'm not sure if TJ Lateef is that running quarterback that everybody expected. He can run. I get it. He's fast, but it's just, I didn't see, he's not, to me, it didn't strike me as like running as his forte. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the portal now, like who they turn to next, who's still available, what and who they go to. And I hope it's not one of those Steve Peterson hiring head coaches and trying to, just going with a list and just going down that list, just trying to find someone. I hope they, have it. I hope they have a plan. I pray that they have a plan, or else it's going to be a very long year next year.
Yeah. And I don't know what the separation looks like on their NIL and how much they want to allocate to everybody. But if we just go through the track record, so when I got down here in 2018, like Adrian Martinez, how was the supporting cast around him? You could argue they had some good players like Wandale, but we didn't use them appropriately. And you're getting destroyed. Your quarterback, Adrian, by the gets to the end of the year, he is somehow still playing games, but he's incredibly beat up. And it's because the supporting cast wasn't quite there around him to help him out. So we had to put a lot of the games on his shoulders. You get to Casey Thompson, who actually thought was one who handled it the best, but he got certainly beat up towards the end. Jeff Sims, just kind of a disaster all in itself. Shout out to him for finishing his career somewhere else in a good light. And then, of course, with Dylan Raiola, it's the same thing. Like, it just didn't matter how many stars we had in that position, because there's too many other things broken around him that we're going to get to a point where he gets hurt. What happened? Dylan Raiola gets severely hurt, and he's out for the year. That's just kind of where I land. Unless we fix some of these other things, we can get to the QB conversation year in, year out. No matter what we do. We finally did it. We got a 5-star. We went bowling. You deserve some credit for that. You went bowling back-to-back years, and we haven't in a long time. You deserve some credit for that. But that can't be the expectation and, the goal. We went bowling. And that's where I have a hard time of, I just see these quarterbacks get beat up every year.
Well, that was what irritated me, was it's like, oh, well, we went to 2 straight bowl games. That's more than we've done over the last 9 years. Well, it was like, I thought, when we hired Coach Rule, and, remember, he turned Nebraska down. And then Nebraska went back to him. I thought when Coach Rule was coming here, I was going with the expectations of, getting back in the upper echelon of college football. I just didn't know it was just to be better than Scott Frost's and his campaign. That's where I'm scratching my head now, is like, why is it every Nebraska fan now, like me personally, I'm like, going into next year, for me, Matt Rule is on the hot seat. That is my opinion. He should be on the hot seat. He should be. We fired, Coach Riley, 19-19. It's like, but you can't always say, well, he's doing better than Scott Frost and his staff. It's like,
he's doing better than the worst coach that ever came here before. I'd hope. You know what I mean?
So that makes no sense to me. It's like, well, he's done better than Scott Frost did, or he's done better than, it's like, to me, I'm sitting there going, but he should be graded on his own, on his own. What is he like? Like me, I said like this. I'm like, okay, we're not sure where we're at on offense. We're going into our 3rd defense coordinator. One of them, left to go to Florida State. But part of that is like, when you bring in a coach to watch me, I'm wanting to get out as quick as possible. Like, if I'm your defense coordinator, I don't need one of your friends to come overlook the defense on top of me being. So I look at, Tony White leaving, I look a little bit like, well, yeah, he left. But when you bring in a coach to overlook me, that was your previous defense coordinator. That to me is strange. So you got 3 defense coordinators you've gone through. You're on your 2nd offense coordinator. You got your offense coordinator who really now, I guess he's running his offense, but I feel like when he came in, like, we're still going to run the same terminology and a lot of the same to what it sounds a lot like the way John Butler, like John Butler wasn't running his defense. He was running what Tony White, because what it was said was, well, we played well in the 3-3-5. So we, basically brought in a defense coordinator that doesn't coach that to be the defense coordinator. Then you fire him. With Dana, I'm always like, now what have we implemented from his offense or so it's confusing to me. And it's like, I sit back and I'm just like, I wish, like, I think with Rob Orich, I think they're doing right by him by do your thing. We're not saying, hey, you got to run a 3-3-5. You do your thing, Coach Orich. The only thing right a little bit for me is usually when you get rid of a coordinator, you get rid of the entire staff and you let the coordinator, hires who he wants to coach his defense. So that to me is a little strange. But then again, we have an offense coordinator that got fired. That's the tight ends coach. So that, to me, that's still as wild to me as ever. So I hope they can find some answers. And I know a lot of people will be like, Chris is upset, but man, I'll tell you what, my eyes kind of opened up tonight. Like I was watching that Nebraska basketball game and I was as intense as I've been for a Nebraska sporting event in probably 15 years. And I was like, man, I remember what it was like when I watched Nebraska football games and there was that much intensity and there was that much emotion. And it's like, I miss those days. And so I'm to the point now where I'm like, we need to make something happen. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And then we got Joe on YouTube here. He's just in an awful mood tonight. I'll tell you that much. Every big time program has advisors like that. Yeah. When you talk about analysts, but I think the point we're trying to get to is you hire your special teams coordinator, but you keep the last one on staff. You fire your offensive coordinator, but you keep your last one that you just like, well, I guess you didn't fire him. You just moved him off the coordinator role and you keep him on staff. You let go of your offensive line coach and Terry Braden, and you bring in a guy like Jeep Wade, who is in the same circle of Satterfield role. Like they've worked with each other before. You almost need a disruptor. And that's why Ulrich out of everybody maybe gives me the most hope, because I don't know how much connection those guys really have in the past, and maybe they'll just let him do his thing. But yeah.
Okay. So Joe, I guess the question I got there is, what big time programs have advisors that overlook your defense coordinator?
Well, we're over the clock here, but if you want to answer that one,
I'd be happy to know that, because in all the years of football I've been around football, I've never seen to where you've had a guy overlooking your defense coordinator.
And since I've been down, I mean, you didn't.
When you bring someone in to overlook your defense coordinator, remember he brought a guy in for offense, a guy in for defense to overlook. Yeah, I'd have to say, Joe, you're wrong on that, brother. I appreciate you listening, but that's never happened. Nope.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, Raff, it's been a fiery start to the show. And this is the problem. Like, man, people are just upset. And I get it, because there's been so much investment into this program. And there's been so much fan base that's been just trying to get behind any positive sign. And when you get blown out in the ways they did, and you can talk about how good the teams were, but we're also in year 3 of Matt Rule. And you heard the statements about how you really like the team. I think if this is the case, you should not have the results. And then the Minnesota game in the middle of the year was kind of the biggest eye opener. It's like, how are we still losing those games in that type of fashion, where maybe Minnesota has a great day, maybe they play better than anticipated, but to get blown out by them is just odd. And then you see a team like UCLA, who you get some magic back, but in reality, that UCLA team was good. It had its moments, but it was not a great UCLA team. I think that Penn State win just kind of elevated everyone, and good job for TJ Lateef. It was a great performance for him. But I mean, what was the marquee win this season, if you had to pick one? Like, was there a win that gave you faith that we're going in the right direction?
Probably Cincinnati, maybe. I don't know. I guess
first game of the year.
we really didn't know. We didn't know since he said. And Joe, on your examples, that's not true. He brought those coaches in during the season to overlook. They weren't advisors. He brought them in to overlook the offense and the defense. Sorry, I was reading the posts, but
I'll be free to. We got to go ahead, throw the break here. We got plenty more on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Raff's good take on sports. 93.7 The Ticket.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. battery checks to brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had roofing service company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you're a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Back to Raff's Good Take on Sports on 93.7 The Ticket. With all the good takes you need, here is your host, Chris Raff.
All right, welcome back in segment number 2. Raff's good take on sports. Geez, tripped up for a second there. Oh, what an emotional-filled hour so far, Chris Raff. You guys are always welcome to join in. If there's explicitives, I can't always read them all. But like I said, you're welcome to join in. This quarterback thing has just gotten people
fired up
in a bad way. I'll say that much. There's a lack of faith, and I'm not saying that you should be faithful. But again, I think it just kind of spells to the temperature of the room that there was a lot of expectations for this year 3 with Matt Rule, and to kind of be circling the wagons again on trying to find a new quarterback is one thing when you felt like you had a guy in Dylan Raiola, who I know some people didn't like him, but his passing numbers were good. When he was healthy, when the pocket was protecting him, it was good. Outside of a few games, you can maybe point at that Minnesota game, but again, I didn't see the wide receivers necessarily getting open a lot. I wish I had more concrete things to say about this program. And I think that's why it's the hardest thing talking about it. I mean, off the text line, we got people chiming in here, 7250. We're talking about the quarterback room. Aiden Giles, Pribula are lined up for visits, pushing for Lagway as well. So we're kind of back in that, who's that next quarterback? But Raff, I'll ask you this. Like, even if we get the quarterback right, and you look at next year's schedule, and I don't like to project too far ahead because some of those teams might not be as good as you think.
Yeah.
Like, just take the quarterback out of it. What the hell is going on with this program? Or is it just some bad games and an overreaction? Or do we got major issues just taking the quarterback part out of it?
I think like we've spoken, just about philosophy, and Nebraska's got to find what their philosophy is. And I think when they find that, then I think then you can start building those roots, so to say. Because I just after 3 years, it's just frustrating just for the fact that we really don't know where we're going. It's kind of like we're just like I said earlier, we're kind of throwing things up against the wall and hoping something sticks. And so I'm not sure, which way you go. But like we talked about, it's like the quarterback is in college football is kind of like that straw that stirs the drink. You need a top-notch quarterback. It's going to be needed. Those names that you named. I mean, for me, it's like I'm not seeing any of those guys that like were they leaving their school for more money, or were they leaving their school because they had some rough outings. I guess maybe was it Calandria, maybe. I guess he might be one for more money, but like DJ Lagway, I mean, I'm guessing he's going to take a pay cut, I would assume. Aiden Childs, probably the same. I don't know, at Michigan State, but so I'm not sure, where we're sitting.
I always go back to like, do we need to go find the highest star? Because like you just go look at Mendoza, right?
Yeah.
He was a 2-star coming out of high school. Like a supposed 2-star. They don't even have the 1s and 2s, but like he wasn't even a 3-star. And he went on to win the Heisman.
But that goes back to Nebraska. Like, what are we on offense?
Like, can you develop a guy? And that's where I always get nervous. Is like, can we develop talent? If you can develop talent, you don't have to hit a home run. You don't have to spend $1 million on certain players in the portal. Although sometimes you're going to be in those situations where it makes sense to do so. But that's where it gets tough because you're in year 4. So hopefully some of those guys are developed already that you can start putting out there on the field. And I don't know how confident we are that we have a bunch of those guys that we've developed. Been through the pipeline.
If you have a system, you're able to plug it in. That's where right now it's like where Nebraska's going. What are we? Are we a passing team, or are we a throwing team? I'm not sure. Or passing. Are we a rushing team, or are we a passing? It's like I'm not sure what our philosophy is, and that goes into like when you go to recruit a quarterback, that's kind of what you're looking at, because it reminds me, a little bit like Joe Daly. Joe Daly was recruited to run, Frank Solich's offense. Well, then Bill Callahan comes in, and it's like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and it doesn't always work, or it doesn't work most of the time. So it's just like with the quarterback that they get in the portal. That's why it's like I hope when they went into this that they were like, okay, we're looking at this type of offense next year. This is what we kind of want to go, what we want to lean on. So these are the quarterbacks that we're going to lean on too. But those, the 3 quarterbacks they named there, they're kind of three different type, quarterbacks. So it's like, okay, which way are we leaning to?
Yeah, and that's where it was kind of weird too to have a guy like Dylan Raiola, who was the polar opposite of TJ Lateef.
Yeah,
like you got your ultimate pocket passer, and then you got your dual threat guy, and you're coaching 2 different styles there in a sense, and a offense that still looks awfully similar to Satterfield's offense, except for the fact that you hand the ball off to Emmett Johnson more.
Well, like say if Kenny Minchie would have came. Well, Kenny Minchie's a different style quarterback than TJ Lateef. So right there, you're going to have a split. They're saying that they're going to roll the ball out there, and they're going to have a quarterback battle. Well, the TJ Lateef offense is going to look a little bit different than the Kenny Minchie offense would have looked like. That's my whole thing is like, if you're going to bring in 2 quarterbacks, make sure they run the same system, or make sure they're alike, so you're not. That's where I scratch my head a lot. And that's like, by the quarterback you bring in. So is that telling us the quarterback you bring in, that's the offense we're going to run? Or is that, it's just, you got to have a plan. I mean, you look at these, like, I'll bring them up just for the sake of it. Lane Kiffin, for instance, he has his offense. He knows what he's going to run. So when he's out trying to find a new quarterback for LSU, he's trying to find the quarterback that fits his offense. That's the big thing for me. It's like, Nebraska, find your offense. Now go out and find the player that fits that offense the best.
That's why Iowa always has such an easy time finding tight ends, elite tight ends, and, really good offensive linemen or really good running backs. It's the same reason why Ohio State always gets some of the best wide receivers in the country, an elite quarterback. And if not an elite quarterback, at least a quarterback capable of throwing some deep shots when needed. It's why when you go look at what Louisville was doing for a little bit there when they had Lamar and then they didn't work, they brought in McCaffrey, kind of that same model, though. It's like, let's get some freak athletes at the quarterback spot. And then you get to Nebraska. I couldn't tell you what we're going to really be running next year, other than probably some more pro style with a guy who's a dual threat, unless we get somebody else. You got an unknown texter. Supposedly, again, this isn't on the record or anything. I could be wrong, but he said the rumor was we're paying $1 million to Minchie and Kentucky came over the top, and then $2 million. So what does Nebraska need to give up to get any of these remaining targets? Again, I'm kind of in the camp of just give me a guy who can manage the game. We need to spend that in other places. And he says, who's to say we don't steal a QB commit from another school? I mean, we totally can. That is unfortunately the era of college football. You can just kind of poach when the time comes.
But I'm old school also too. Like I'm very old school. Like Coach Holgerson talked about how he doesn't really, pick the quarterback. It's the GM now, and well, if I'm the offense coordinator, I want to handpick my quarterback. I want, and I hope and pray that he just misquoted that, but I hope that Dana Holgerson has a hand in picking who he wants to play. Because don't you want the quarterback to run your offense? The offense that you want to run, you want a quarterback that fits into your offense. That's the thing. Is like the first year with Joe Daly when Bill Callahan was here. Well, Joe Daly struggled immensely because he was running an offense that he wasn't familiar. That wasn't him. It's like I look back on that. If Frank Solich stayed, Joe Daly probably would have been an all Big 12. Yeah, we were at Big 12 back then. He would have been a all Big 12 quarterback, no doubt in my mind. But it's just that's the thing. It's like Nebraska's got to figure out. Like I think they figured out on defense now. They're going to go with 4-man front. Okay, so now they know what kind of players they need to go out and get on defense. And we saw that today where they brought in the linebacker with 130 tackles last year for San Diego State playing in that defense. So you want to find a quarterback, and it goes, down the line. You want to find players that play. If we're going to be like a predominantly passing team, then you need to go out and find pass blockers. You've got to find what fits. You can't find, a predominant run blocker if they're not a good pass blocker. All I'm saying is just find your philosophy and then go, then you find your players that fit into that system.
Yeah. And it seems silly, but it's a good point with the linemen. In all honesty, the pass pro and run blocking are different things. If you don't believe me, go look at the Detroit Lions this season. Like when they drop back to protect their quarterback, it was like, oh my Lord, you guys are giving up plays left and right. When they're running the ball, it's like you guys are getting to the second level often. You're doing a good job letting the running backs get some lanes. You got to pick a direction. Unless you're going to have the money and the resources or the history of having a line like Georgia, or just pick an elite offensive line that's in the country this year. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not willing to just go ahead and give up. That's for sure, and say Matt Rule wasn't the right guy because his program wasn't a bad spot. I'm not going to deny and say that, well, it should have been an easy fix, because it definitely was always going to be a tough fix. And
the thing about it too is like we want him to succeed. We want Nebraska to be, in the upper echelon. But then if you watch it, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, we want to see, positive steps taken. Like the last 3 games of the season, I felt like Nebraska regressed. Like I'm not going into next year. I'm kind of, from a mental standpoint, from just where's Nebraska standing going into next year, just for what happened the last 3 games of the year.
It was just strange too, because the scripted drives, we would we had to get things cooking, like off to a great start. And in the Penn State game, although we came short, like we got to the red zone. I think it was like 2 yards, and maybe even less than that. We score on the first drive versus Utah. We look awesome. We drive down the length of the field. And then Iowa game, same story. Like, what happens after the scripted drives to where, like, well, that's all we worked on this week. We're just going to try our best for the rest of the game. Like, obviously, that's not what they're saying, but it's bewildering to watch. It's like you guys just diced them up and down the field.
Well, even like when they said they started to zone blitz, it's like, okay, well, you can run against zone blitzes. Actually, there's a lot of big runs involved, with when you zone blitz. So it's like make your play calls. If there's zone blitz, and you play call around the where the zone blitz is at. It's just like I've never seen like, and this isn't even like Coach Rule, but over just the years where Nebraska's just been totally befuddled by, well, that's not what we practiced against. Well, it's like you should have everything down pat. Like, I always hate
practice against it. It's like you're playing college football at a high level. You guys should be able to make mid-game adjustments.
Well, like Coach Osborne's offenses, like he could run the option, and I'm like, that's a long time ago. But Coach Osborne, he had the teams are so well prepared against a 5-man front, a 4-man front, a 3-man front, a 6-man front. He had every single offensive call that the line knew what they were blocking. That's why they took their tests, on Friday before each game. Was each player had to take a test so they knew exactly going into it, So it's like, I hate that when they always say, well, they changed up on us. Well, that should not make you ineffective. That's when they change up on you. That to me tells me like, okay, well, now you got the defense on the ropes because they're starting to change things up so then that's when you really attack. But it's for some reason
it's a terrible excuse. It's like, well, we were doing really well, and then they changed things on us.
Yeah,
well, of course they were going to. They're not going to run the same plays that were getting them killed, or they gave up the opening drive. I don't know. This is by no means really holds any merit, but it's like it reminds me of like Scott Frost, where I'm not saying Matt Rule Scott Frost. He's already done better than Scott Frost, which he should. That's a very low bar.
Yeah.
But the Scott Frost era, how many of those opening drives were awesome? A lot of.
Yeah.
What'd the rest of the game look like? Bad. Something would happen where we just would not adjust.
Well, here's the deal about Scott Frost, though. The record was bad. But look at how many losses were like 1-score games that he lost throughout his career. Football's a weird game, but just think if he would have got a couple bounces here and there. So that's where I sometimes with Coach Frost is where I'm just like, yeah, there was stuff, there was breakdowns, there was false starts, there was a lot of stuff. But still, at the end of the day, you lost those games. Well, I don't know. It's just with me. I look at it. I don't look at Coach Rule being like, well, he was better than Scott Frost, because if you look at like that, you could have hired pretty much anybody, and they would have probably done better than the record wise than Frost. So it's like, okay, well, if so, you're telling me. What was Frost at Nebraska, like 16-31 or something wild?
I've lost my memory of it, but yeah,
okay,
something awful. Probably
so
you're
telling me if Rule would have came in and went 20-30 or 20-25, then that's like, oh well, that's fine. Like I hear 19, I see 19-19. I'm not saying, well, it's a better winning percentage than Scott Frost. I'm seeing 19-19. That's 500. That's why you fired Mike Riley, because he was 500. And I don't think Nebraska, with the facilities they have, the money that they have, and all that, I don't think 500 seasons are what Nebraska's playing for. I hope not, or else I'm going to be watching a heck of a lot more basketball games.
Yeah, luckily I'm still watching basketball games, and thank God they're winning them now, because there's a lot of basketball games before we got to that point.
Imagine if basketball is bad.
Wrestling. We have wrestling to hold on to. Those guys have been awesome. Shout out to the wrestling program. They dominated UNI over the weekend. And they got some national champs. They got some real dudes over there, and a great coach, Mark Manning, and a great rest of the coaching staff. But yeah, I mean, this is, and again, I'm nowhere in the boat. I do not like calling for head coaches' jobs because I'm simply do not know more than them. I just flat out don't. I'd be a big fat liar if I told you I know more football than Coach Rule, and I could tell you why this program isn't clicking. What I can tell you is that he probably walked into one of the best rooms he could because the bar was never lower. Like you can have a lot of excuses. Maybe a lot of them are legit. Like he totally has the right and has a legit excuse. Maybe a lot of them aren't. You do got Lou on here, and we'll wrap up with this because this one's kind of funny. I mean, this is just coming from the fans, and this isn't the first time I've heard this. He says it's the excuses. That's the part that bothers him the most. He told us Jeff Sims was an NFL talent. Why does Rule get away with simply lying to us? And he's got a few more examples. Again, Rule said he was all about development, but hasn't developed anyone. Like, that's the part of the Husker fan base where I can't sit here and say they don't have some points that are totally valid, because I get you want to hype up your guys, but you set up the fans' expectation to a crazy level when you say we got an NFL talent at quarterback.
Yeah, I want him to succeed. But when you're looking at it from the outside, you're just like, whew, what is going on? It's like we need to show some signs of, like, honestly, if you're listening right now, how close is Nebraska to being, a Final Four team?
I'll tell you right now, I think at least like 4 or 5 years.
I mean, they're worlds away. I mean, they play it's a different brand.
And that's if Matt Rule works out. I'd say we're 5 years down the road. And we got to go smooth from here on out.
We saw Utah, and I know that we played a lot of young players. I get that, but remember Utah, they were playing a lot of young players too, and they're able to step in. Like, I thought when they're missing their 2 offensive tackles, I was sitting there going, Nebraska should feast. And we weren't able to get any pressure on the quarterback. And when we were, then we weren't able to tackle. So it's like, I don't know. I just want some life. I want some philosophy. Just show me the philosophy. That's all I pray on anymore is just like, just show us a philosophy. What are we? Are we a running team? Are we a passing team? Are we a pro style team? Are we a read option team? What are we? And I never really know with Nebraska. It's kind of like a
jack of all trades, master of none right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Raff, let's cut through the negativity. I mean, what an hour. What an hour. What's your good take for tonight?
All right, everybody. Hang on 1 second here. I just got to pull it up. All right, everybody. Today's Raff's good take goes out to Robin Washit. Robin is a sports writer for On3, friend of the station. He was awarded the National Sports Media Association Nebraska Sports Writer of the Year. Robin is one of the coolest dudes, just a great guy, takes so much pride. He's the lead Nebraska beat writer for On3 for basketball, just writes some amazing stories. He's always the first guy that has great information. So Robin, congratulations on the Nebraska Sports Writer of the Year. You are Raff's good take.
Well said. I think our guy Steve Sipple might have had an edge there. No, I'm just kidding. I like Robin Washit's stuff all the time. He's great. I always appreciate his insight. He's a big basketball guy too, so I'm sure he's just more than ecstatic to finally be in the scenario where Nebraska's winning. They're a top 10 team in the country. They got another win tonight, but that's going to do it for us. It's been a Raff's good take. See you later, Chris Raff. Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you.